Hello mga ka-micro. First I welcome you all to our first video lecture entitled Introduction to Microbiology. Sa mga hindi nakakaalam about microbiology, it is a very broad field in which malulearn mo dito kung gaano ka-importante yung mga microorganisms sa ating human civilization. As well as sa video na ito, ay tatakil natin yung different kinds or different fields ng microbiology. Ito yung mga branches under microbiology. So dito din, malalearn natin why do we need to study microbiology, and also malalaman natin yung examples ng mga microorganisms. You can see here, yung mga gumagalaw dito, yung mga maliliit dito. These are just examples of microorganisms. If you are familiar with bacteria, fungi, viruses, so these are just examples of microorganisms that you can view under a sophisticated tool just like here, a microscope. So usually, pag microorganisms, hindi natin sila nadadama because we cannot even see them with our naked eyes. So we use tools like this to view them physically. So ito yung mga pag-uusapan natin na mga topics under Introduction to Microbiology. So first in the list, pag-uusapan natin, let's define microbiology in a simple way. And ano yung mga examples ng mga microorganisms na makikita under microbiology. And itatakil din natin paano nga ba nagsimula yung microbiology as a field, sino yung mga major contributors or pioneers natin na scientists who established microbiology. Second on the list is yung importance of microorganisms. So dito natin didiscuss gaano nga magka-importante yung microbiology as a field and ano yung mga applications, yung mga real-life applications ng microbiology na makikita natin sa ating mundo ngayon. So next is ano yung mga fields of microbiology, ano yung mga branches under microbiology, and ano yung mga career opportunities if you obtain a bachelor degree in microbiology or any other related science degrees, ano yung mga patutunguhan mo if you are a graduate of these courses. So first in the list, pag-usapan natin yung microbiology. So ano yung mga definition, examples, and history of microbiology. So microbiology, usually meron ito siyang three root words. So let's simplify the definition of microbiology. So first root word, meron tayong word na micros from the Greek word meaning small or extremely small. Second root word, meron tayong bios. From here, it means life in Greek. Next is logos from the word logi, meaning it's study. So if you sum it up yung root words ng microbiology, so microbiology defines as the study of extremely small life. So ngayon, itatakal natin yung different kinds of microorganisms under the microbiology. As we discussed earlier, yung microorganisms coming from the word micro meaning small or extremely small. So let's define naman ano yung microorganism. So second root word from the word organisms. So yung organisms definition niya is it's anything with life. So ibig sabihin lahat na makikita mo na gumagalaw, na may life, na capable of eating, capable of uptaking nutrients from the environment, capable of growing or undergo cell division. So these are examples of forms with life. So yung microorganisms, to sum it up, these are just small microscopic organisms. So when you say microscopic, makikita lang sila with the use of microscopes. So these are examples of microorganisms. Usually, yung microorganisms are divided into 6 major categories. First in the list, tinatawag tayong bacteria. Second is archaea. Usually yung archaea, yung when it comes to physical structure, somewhat magkakatulad sila with bacteria, pero meron lang silang difference. For example, in their cell wall composition, or di kaya magkaiba sila in an environment kung saan sila matatagpuan. And usually archaea, they are usually called extremis or extremophiles because they could be able to live under extreme environments. For example, makikita sila under hot volcanic lakes, for example, or makikita sila sa ilalim ng dagat na may mataas pressure, or somewhat makikita sila sa environment sa lake, for example, na mataas yung salt concentrations. These are unique kind of microorganisms with unique environmental requirements to live. Next is in the list is yung fungi natin. Magkaiba siya ng evolutionary lineages from bacteria and archaea, since fungi natin is usually unicellular eukaryotes yan sila. So, next on the list are viruses. So, usually, merong long debate sa mga scientists natin if viruses are considered to be a life form or not, but yung viruses natin usually possesses two unique characteristics. When they are not in the host cell, so usually wala silang life form. So nagkakaroon lang sila ng life form if they could be able to pass through the barrier of the immune system and could be able to infect host cell and use the machineries of the cell to replicate. Next is meron tayong mga prions and viroids. So same like viruses, masyado silang maliliit. Mas maliliit pa sila sa mga bacteria natin. And yung prions and viroids natin, there are microorganisms na somewhat particular when it comes to host cell na atake. So yung prions natin, they are just an infectious protein na kaya niyang infect yung mga animal cells natin. For example, that would cause mad cow disease or squeepy disease in sheep. So yung viroids natin, they are just infectious RNA, yung naked RNA natin that would infect plants. And the next broad group na under microorganisms, ito yung tinatawag natin na protozoans. So protozoans, particularly, makikita natin sila under different environments. So usually yung protozoans natin, kinukompose sila ng mga unicellular eukaryotes na some part of the group are photosynthetic and some part of the group are heterotrophs. So let's move on with the history of microbiology. So pag-uusapan natin paano nagsimula yung microbiology as a field. So may papakita ko ngayon na picture. So siya si Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. So si Anthony van Leeuwenhoek isa sa mga major contributor why microbiology was founded. So si Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, he works on optics. So gumagawa siya ng mga different kinds of lenses. So yung hobby niya sa paggawa ng mga lenses, he discovers that these lenses could be able to magnify certain small things. So ito yung example ng sikat na prototype ni Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. Just like a smaller version ng microscope natin ngayon. Usually yung device na ito is like kalaki lang ng isang thumb natin. And then how amazing it is, yung small device na ito with the use of the attachment of lens that could be able to magnify 250 times of the usual form ng animals natin, yung mga small animalcules. Yung tinawag na kasi itong mga wee animalcules sa kanyang dictionary or journals before. And then through this discovery, nalaman niya na microorganisms, makikita siya sa halos lahat ng environment na ma-observe mo ngayon. So itong discovery ni Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, isa din itong stepping stone na kung saan yung mga succeeding scientists nagkaroon sila ng idea that yung mga environment natin, usually majority of na mga environmental samples, yung nagdo-dominate doon is yung mga microorganisms. So through that, nagkaroon ng idea yung mga scientists natin to further explore the world of microorganisms by the use of sophisticated tools just like microscope. So kung si Anthony van Leeuwenhoek yung tinaguri ang father of microbiology sa kanyang professional career, Itong tao naman ito ay tinaguri ang father of modern microbiology, and siya is si Louis Pasteur. So, sa kanyang surname, masyadong alam niyo naman na familiar ito when it comes to industry, yung Pasteur from the word pasteurization. So, actually, yung pasteurization technique na ginagamit ngayon sa industry is sa kanya yun ang galing. So, siya yung mismo yung nag-establish naman. So, Louis Pasteur is sikat siya sa kanyang mga experiments as well as yung mga major contributions niya na sa microbiology. That's why yung microbiology from his time lumaki, naging extensive yung field. And then, example niyan is yung mention ko kanina is yung pasteurization. So, yung pasteurization technique, ito yung ginagawa sa industry in order to kill the pathogen present in, for example, in milk products. So, ginagamit ang pasteurization, gumagamit ito na high temp. Sinasubject yung milk natin at high temp and also at specified duration. So, ang purpose nito is to extend the shelf life of the food product by eliminating or limiting the microbial load as well as eliminating the pathogen that would cause food poisoning sa mga consumers. And second is yung vaccination. Sikat si Louis Pasteur dito kasi siya yung first person na nakapag-produce ng vaccine for rabies and polio. Next is fermentation. So, marami siyang mga experiments. I-utilize niya yung metabolic requirements ng mga different bacteria to produce a fermentable products. For example, in the case ng mga lactobacillus, yung mga bacteria natin na love thriving in a low pH environment. Ginawa niya yung culture to produce, like for example, fermented milk, for example. Next is yung germ theory of disease. So, yung germ theory of disease, isa siya sa mga proponent nito. Sa theory na ito, basically, tinerm na yung microorganisms as germs. So, germs, in particular, may mga certain pathogens or germs that would be able to cause disease in humans. So, meron siyang mga parallel experiments na ginawa and then present niya as a scientific community. Next is yung molecular asymmetry. Sikat din siya sa chemistry because yung contribution niya, meron siyang mga discovery like yung compounds, merong mga certain compounds na magkakapareho ng chemical formula pero magkakaiba pala sila ng structure. So, for example, sa chemical A and chemical B, kapareho lang sila ng chemical formula but they differ in asymmetry. For example, they are like opposite mirror images of each other. Like, for example, merong left and right symmetry. So, this is yung sikat na experiment ni Louis Pasteur. So, meron siyang different set of flasks na sinubject niya through heating. So, yung first setup niya, ang laman ng flask nito is a broth. So, in-undergo niya ng application ng heat uses yung pasteurization. So, last na ito, yung tip niya, yung opening niya is somewhat naka-curve to prevent direct exposure sa ating environment. So, pag ganito yung setup, after heating the broth, mapapansin niyo na after few hours, walang growth ng bacteria present. Is because limited yung access ng bacteria from the air to the broth natin. Yung second step natin, same din, in-applyan niya ng heat, and then remember, yung tip or yung neck area natin, pinutol niya dito, and then meron na tayong malaking entry ng bacteria from the environment, and after hours, napansin niya na spoil yung ating broth because merong presence ng bacteria sa air. Next is yung same, in-applyan niya ng heat, but yung sa setup na ito, although ni-remain na yung neck ng ating flask, pero tinilt niya in a way nagkaroon ng spillage. So, yung spillage na yun, naging a mode of entry ng ating bacteria from the air that would cause also a spoilage after few hours. So, in conclusion, yung experiment na ito, pinove niya ay yung bacteria is makikita siya even air. So, that would cause spoilage sa ating broth. So, isa ito sa mga experiment that disproved the spontaneous generation theory. Kasi yung spontaneous generation theory before, sikat siya as a theory na pinimpose nila na yung life form is nanggaling from non-life form. For example, oyster nanggaling sa sand. Isa ito sa mga experiment that leads to this approval of the spontaneous generation theory. So now let's talk about the importance of microbiology. So When it comes to importance ng microbiology, napakarami. Masyadong malaki yung list. But, kinakategorize ko siya into 3 major categories. So, first of all, yung food safety and production. So, nandyan yung food pathogen detection and prevention, fermentation, as well as yung food preservation. So, sa food pathogen detection and prevention, may ginagawa tayo ngayon. Like, for example, in the case sa industry, yung mga food companies natin, before nila siniship out yung mga products, kailangan muna siyang i-analyze to detect certain pathogens in food. Like, for example, in the case ng salmonella, na very importante na walang even single cell ng salmonella sa food products natin. That would cause an infection or food intoxication sa ating mga consumers. Next is fermentation. So, marami na tayo ngayong mga fermentable products na came from fermentation process by utilizing metabolic requirements ng different bacteria natin or other microorganisms. So, in the case ng lactobacillus na usually ginagamit siya to produce fermentable products, so ito yung mga bacteria that love thriving in low pH environment. So, yun sila ang mga best example in the case ng fermentation process. So, when it comes to food preservation, alam naman natin that there are certain bacteria that would cause food spoilage. Pero meron din mga certain bacteria or yung mga products na galing from bacteria na ina-apply sa food to preserve them. So, meron tayong mga compounds na nilalagay as preservatives. Next is disease prevention and medicine. So, alam naman natin ngayon na marami na ding microorganisms that are known to cause disease in human as well as in animals. Next is yung control and surveillance for animal and human pathogens. So, dyan yung papasok yung public health surveillance natin. So, it is very important to have this in our government because alaman naman natin ngayon na lumilitaw na lang kung saan-saan yung mga different pathogens natin that pose a risk in the public health. Next is medicine for treatment of infections. Yung antibiotic na penicillin natin na galing sa isang fungi na penicillium na discover ni Alexander Fleming. So, yung discovery ng antibiotic, napakalaki yung impact niya. It's because through this, nakapag-produce na tayo ng mga antibiotics ngayon na ginagamit for certain infections. Next is biomedical researches for human and animal benefits. So, dyan yung papasok yung different researches as well as yung mga biotechnology to produce products that would benefit humans and animals. Example niyan is yung mga ginagamit yung mga bacteria for biotechnological applications for the production of insulin, for example, na ngayon ginagamit na siya for treatment for diabetes. Next is bioresource and environmental balance. So, malaki yung impact ng ating mga microorganisms in keeping the balance of the processes here on Earth. So, nandyan yung bioremediation. So, basically, ito yung may mga certain bacteria tayo or mga microorganisms capable of breaking down malalaking compounds into simpler forms that di gaano kalaki yung negative effect niya sa environment. Next is nutrient cycle. So, through this, sinacycle yung nutrient dito sa Earth. Starting from the smaller organisms na to-transfer yung energy up to higher organisms and babalik na naman siya to keep the nutrients balance or in cycle lang siya sa mga organisms na makikita dito sa Earth. Next is biological research. Yun, nagpo-fall yung mga researchers, environmental researches that utilizes yung mga metabolites ng mga certain microorganisms that makikita lang sa certain environment na pwede pala siyang apply for human applications. Next is yung mga functional roles of microorganisms to keep the earth balanced. And then yung sinasabi ko na different kinds of cycles, for example, yung mga nitrogen, carbon, na very importante to keep the processes here on earth balanced. Ito yung mga major importance why microbiology should be studied. So now let's talk the major fields of microbiology. So microbiology is an extensive field, so marami siyang fields or branches, but kinategorize ko siya into 8 major fields of microbiology. So the first 3 majors, nandyan yung food microbiology, kung saan tinatackle natin yung different microorganisms na ginagamit sa food industries, na ginagamit for the food production, food preservation, pathogen detection in foods, and many more. When it comes to virology, dito naman tinatackle natin yung different kinds of viruses, ano yung viruses depending on the host they infect, or ano yung different kinds of viruses depending on the mode of replication. Next is industrial microbiology. Somewhat similar siya with food microbiology, that it deals with production of products na related yung microorganisms natin. So, when it comes to industrial microbiology, marami din siyang application yung microorganisms natin for the production ng insulin, production ng antibiotics, production ng enzymes, chemicals, amino acids, and many more that are beneficial for human and animals. Next fields is medical microbiology. So, dito natin tinatakal yung different kinds of pathogen, o ito yung mga disease-causing microorganisms. Paano natin siya piniprevent, ano yung mode of entry nila, ano yung mga diagnostic procedure for detection. So, dito natin tinatakal ito. Next is yung environmental microbiology. So, para siyang microbial ecology, in which yung tinatakal natin yung microorganism as a whole or a microorganism at specified environment. So, dito natin makikita na at some portion ng Earth, meron lang certain microorganisms that can thrive, and then meron ding microorganisms na specialist na makikita lang at certain environment. Next is yung molecular microbiology. So, sa molecular microbiology, dito na field, tinitingnan natin yung microbiology at a molecular level. So, starting from how cell divides, starting from how the DNA of the mother cell transferred to the daughter cells, or how the DNA are being translated to RNA and then later on translated into proteins. Yun yung molecular microbiology. Next is microbial genetics. So, most of the studies now, kasi masyadong advanced na yung technology natin, nagpo-focus sila more on microbial genetics. So, dito na field, tinitingnan nila to explore more the genetics of microorganisms on how they could be able to apply it for human application. In case na, for example, meron tayong mga gene editing, just like CRISPR now, ini-utilize natin yung genome or genetic sequences ng microorganisms for medicinal purposes or for other applications. Next is yung biotechnology and biomedical science. So, it's more on research din ito na field in which ini-utilize natin yung bacteria for insulin production. That's the product of biotechnology. And biomedical science, it falls under microbiology kasi may kinalaman ito sa mga microorganisms na ini-explore ng mga scientists for human applications also. So, this is our last slide for today's topic. We go with the career opportunity microbiology. So, if you have a certain degree in microbiology, you have 4 major areas that you can go for personal advancement. We have here the academe. So, sa academe, pwede kang maging professional professor that would teach young students in obtaining this degree. Or you could be in a research setting that deals with the study of microorganisms for real-life applications. Next is for the industry. If you are working in an industry, especially in food companies, we are responsible for analyzing their food products or other products from industry to make sure that it meets certain quality standards criteria. So you could be a laboratory specialist or a quality assurance officer. Majority of the career opportunities for micro goes with medicine kasi dito na area na-apply natin in real life setting din yung mga theoretical knowledge that we have during our college days. So in medicine, you could be a public health officer, contributes for the public health surveillance program ng ating mga communicable diseases, or you could be a licensed doctor that majors in infectious diseases. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed our video presentation and also you have learned a lot from this topic. So if you have any questions, just comment down below the comment section, or you can also email me or subscribe me and follow me at my YouTube channel. So if you have any suggestions for future video presentation or lectures, just message me and I would do my best to lecture it in a simplified way. Let's explore microbiology together. Bye!